शलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः। श्री चैतन्य मनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश। श्रीरूपं सागरजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं। श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान् सहगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश। नमः ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी ऋषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So welcome back again to the nectar of instruction, Bhakti Sastri. We are on text 7. Text 7 is a very important verse because after discussing in text 6 how a Madhyamadikari should be careful to see a Uttamadikari, a Mahabhagavat, a pure devotee whose heart is free from the tendency to criticize, how he should be free from seeing from a material vision. Text 7 mentions how one should, take the holy name and destroy the Avidya, which is the root of the material disease. So what is the methodology of Avidya, by which Avidya is destroyed? What is, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, it is Avidya vinashe Om Krishna name anushlilaner pranali. Pranali means method. What is the method by which we take the name of Krishna, by which Avidya gets destroyed? So this also is an, I think, Vasantilika meter only. So we'll chant this. Swat Krishna Macharitadisitapya Vidya Pittopataptarasanasya rochikanu Kim tvadaratanudanam khanu saiva jushta Swadvikramad bhavati tadagada Mulahantri. The holy name, character, pastimes, and activities of Krishna. Swad Krishna Nama Charitadi. That means the names, pastimes, characteristics, qualities of Krishna are all transcendental and sweet like sugar candy. They are sweet like sugar candy. Sita. Sita means very, very sweet. Although the tongue is afflicted by jaundice of avidya, ignorance. Api avidya pittopatas rasanasya. Cannot taste anything sweet. No ruchikano. It is wonderful that simply by carefully chanting these sweet names every day, a natural relish awakens within his tongue. Swadvi kramat bhavati. And his disease is gradually destroyed at the root. Tadagada mula hantri. Hantri means han. Han means to destroy. Mula means from the root. So here, Rup Goswami is explaining how Krishna's name, character, pastimes, activities, Nama, Rupa, Guna, Leela are all transcendental and sweet like sugar candy. And he's giving an analogy of just how one who is afflicted by jaundice disease, the tongue cannot taste anything sweet. Although he's eating jaggery, he finds it very, very bitter. But the medicine for jaundice is to take jaggery. Similarly, although the holy names are nectar, but because we have the disease of avidya in the heart, the disease is here in the heart now, not on the tongue. For the jaundice, the disease on the tongue, but the spiritual disease is for us the avidya, heart, in the heart. And because that avidya is there, and that is why we are not able to taste the sweet like nectar of the holy names or the character or pastimes. We don't have much taste for hearing Krishna Leela, Krishna Katha because of the avidya disease. But what does Rupa Goswami recommend? Kintu adarat anudinam khalu saiva jushtat. One thing is adarat, carefully or respectfully. Anudinam. Anudinam means every day. One should, take up these holy names. That means you should every day chant. Although you don't have taste, still we should do it. Then what will happen? A natural relish will awaken within the tongue. Swadvi kramad bhavati. And then the disease of avidya will be destroyed at the root. So, as I was mentioning, the Madhyamadhikari Goswami's external dealings and bhakti rules are mentioned in 2 to 4. His internal vision and development is mentioned in 5 to 8. Now, we saw how Madhyamadhikari does Trividha Sevan. He is able to, his vision has developed that he is able to recognize that all Vaishnavas are not on the same level. Some are Kanishta, some are Madhyama, and some are Uttam. And he reciprocates accordingly the exchanges. While associating with the Uttama, he avoids committing offenses by seeing him from a material vision. So this was a warning here in text 6. Now, further, how his vision will develop by chanting the holy names when the avidya is destroyed. So what is the methodology of further development of the internal vision and further advancement by taking the holy name, how he can further progress? That is being discussed in text 7. Now the purport, it's a small purport, it has these themes. Paragraph 1 speaks about the holy name is like sugar candy and avidya is like jaundice. And then there is the disease condition and the healthy condition of the soul. Prabhupada speaks in paragraph 3. And for this disease condition, Prabhupada in 3 and 4 paragraphs explains Krishna consciousness is a remedy for it. Then how the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is the cure of the disease for avidya, he describes in paragraph 5. In paragraph 6, Prabhupada speaks about the 3 stages of chanting. And in paragraph 7 to 10, Prabhupada elaborates how the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra takes one from the stage of Shraddha to Prema and destroys avidya. So that he speaks from paragraph 7 to 10. So now let us go to paragraph 1. The holy name of Lord Krishna, his qualities, pastimes, and so forth are all of the nature of the absolute truth, beauty, and bliss. Satchidananda. They are all transcendental. Naturally, they are very sweet like sugar candy, which appeals to everyone. The science, however, is compared to the disease called jaundice. So, avidya is compared to jaundice, which is caused by bilous secretion. Pittopataptasya. Pittopataptasya means it is the disease of the pitta. In Ayurveda, there is kapha, vata, and pitta. The body is composed of three dhatuke according to Ayurveda: kapha, pitta, and vayu. So when the pitta gets aggravated, that time this jaundice disease happens. Pittopatapta rasanasya. Because of afflicted by pitta, the tongue loses the taste and you cannot taste jaggery, which is sweet. So avidya has been compared to this jaundice. Jaundice, the tongue of a diseased person cannot palatably relish sugar candy. Just a minute, I will change the net connection. Yes. So he cannot taste sugar candy. Rather, a person with jaundice considers something to taste very bitter. Now, Prabhupada, after giving this analogy of the jaundice, which is in our experience, avidya similarly perverts the ability to relish the transcendentally palatable name, quality, form, and pastimes of Krishna. Despite this disease, if one with great care and attention, now here is very important, great care and attention means to attentively chant the holy name, takes up to Krishna consciousness, chanting the holy name and hearing the transcendental pastimes, his ignorance will be destroyed and his tongue enabled to taste the sweetness of the transcendental nature of Krishna in his paraphernalia. Such a recovery of spiritual health is possible only by regular cultivation of Krishna consciousness. So here is Adarat, care and attention, and Anudinam, cultivation. So very, very important. Actually, in Ayurveda, especially diseases which are very deep-rooted, like skin diseases, they're very deep-rooted diseases. And usually the Ayurvedic physician mentions medicines or certain types of kashaya or lepas and certain intake of medicines which you need to take on a regular basis for many, many months or sometimes years together. Because the disease is very deep rooted. Disease is very, very deep rooted. So only when the patient for many months or years, he follows the prescription of the Ayurvedic physician, that is taking the medicines on time and following the diet. Now it is very important, especially what is special disease, material disease also, like I'm explaining of a skin disease. It is very important, and Prabhupada mentions that in one of his book, Journey of Self-Discovery, that for recovery from the disease, most important aspect is he has to take the medicine on time, properly, as given by the physician. Second is he has to follow the diet. If he's taking the medicine and if he doesn't follow the diet, then it will not work. If he's only doing the diet, not taking the medicine, then also it will not happen. Similarly, for us, for our spiritual recovery of health, what is the medicine and what is the diet? Can anyone tell me? Raise your hands. What is the medicine and what is the diet? Okay. Mohan Lal Prabhuji, many have raised their hands this time. I'm very happy to hear that. Mohan Lal Prabhuji, yes?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes.
Prabhuji, medicine is Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, and diet is sattvic diet, like avoid this tamasic foods.
Diet is Krishna Prasadam, and within Krishna Prasadam, it is Sattvic. Yes, yes. So if we are taking the holy name and sometimes not following this regulative principle, then it will not work. If we are taking Krishna Prasadam, but sometimes we are not taking the holy name, prescribed number of rounds, then also that will not work. So the more strictly we are able to, take the medicine, the holy name, and follow the regulative principles strictly, then slowly the disease, the recovery, the spiritual health recovery will happen. So that is the point. So as an example, that even deep-rooted diseases which are there, Ayurveda mentions that we have to take the medicine and the diet for a long period. And only then the disease can be eliminated from the root. But our disease of avidya is there from millions and millions of lives. So we cannot expect that overnight in 1 month, 2 months, our disease of avidya will be destroyed. At least we should give a dedicated, committed, practice of 10, 15 years in spiritual life. And what is 10, 15 years compared to the millions of lives and millions of bodies and the millions and millions of years we have spent in the material world? 10, 15 years is nothing. And if that can follow this very sincerely, then definitely we will become free from this avidya and then get purified and go back to the spiritual world. So this is regarding first paragraph. In the second paragraph, as I was mentioning, there is a disease condition and the healthy condition of the soul. So here I have mentioned the jaundice is sweet, but it tastes bitter, and you have to take sugar candy regularly. It will destroy the jaundice disease. Then you can taste sugar candy. Now it will taste you sweet. Similarly, avidya is there, ignorance. There is no taste for chanting the holy name. So take Harinam regularly. It will destroy the ignorance, and then Harinam will taste sweeter and sweeter and sweeter, which will never end in one sense. Okay, so let us now go to the next paragraph. It is about the normal condition, the healthy condition, and the disease condition. That's what it's speaking. Disease condition and the healthy condition of the soul. This is the theme. When a man in the material world takes more interest in the materialistic way of life than in Krishna consciousness, he is considered to be in the disease condition. The normal condition is to remain as the eternal servant of Krishna. Jivera Swarupai Krishna Nityadas. This healthy condition is lost when the living entity forgets Krishna due to being attracted to the external features of Krishna's Maya's energy. This world is called Maya. This world of Maya is called Durashaya, which means false or bad shelter. One who puts his faith in Durashaya becomes a candidate for hoping against hope. In the material world, everyone is trying to become happy, and although their material attempts are baffled in every way, due to their nescience, they cannot understand their mistakes. People try to rectify one mistake by making another mistake. This is the way of struggle for the existence in the material world. If one in this country take Krishna consciousness and be happy, he does not accept such instructions. So, what is the disease condition and the healthy condition? The healthy condition is Jivera Swarupa Krishna Nityadas. And the disease condition is more interest in materialistic way of life. And more we are attracted to Krishna's external features of the Maya energy. So now, based on these two paragraphs, we can do a self-assessment. Are we having the disease of avidya? How you yes or no? How we can come to know whether we are having the disease of avidya? How do we know whether we are having the disease of avidya? Avidya is not yet destroyed. How do we come to know? Raise your hand. How do we know? Yeah, Nitya Sevini Mataji. Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yes.
Prabhu, we are committing the mistakes again and again. Based on that, we can judge ourselves.
We are committing mistakes. Okay, I want a little more clear what is there in Prabhupada's discussion here. Okay. Lata Mataji. Yes, Mataji. Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Based on our chanting, when I means if chanting becomes forceful, then means I am forcefully doing my chanting. So it means my ignorance is still there, avidya is there, because the taste for chanting is not developed yet.
Yes, when I'm chanting, I understand. There is no taste in chanting. There is nama ruchi nahi hai. There is no nama ruchi. So that means my disease of avidya is very deep rooted. That is how we can understand. And in the second paragraph, Prabhupada is speaking about how we can know that we are not in the healthy condition and we are in the disease condition of the soul. How do we know? Pavana Bal Govind Prabhuji, how do we know?
Hare Krishna, this Prabhupada talks about the attachment to the materialistic life.
Yes.
If your taste is for materialistic things, that means you are still in the diseased condition.
Yes, yes. We are still attracted to the external feature, Krishna's Maya. So that's how we can understand that still we are in a disease condition. So these are the two symptoms from these two paragraphs we can understand. Okay. Now Prabhupada spoke about, taking shelter of Maya means it is Durashaya. Dura and Ashraya, false or bad shelter. Ashraya means shelter. Durashaya means false or bad shelter. And when we take shelter of Maya, it's like hoping against hope that we will become happy in this material world. But happiness doesn't exist in this material world. And the more we endeavor in the material world to become happy, the more we become backward and bewildered. And we commit mistakes after mistake. And in order to rectify one mistake, we make another mistake. So happiness is always eluding in this material world. It's like, the mirage in the desert. You see that there is water, you go ahead, and maybe, I don't know, maybe close to the water now, I'll get the water, and it's not there when you go there. And you can see still there is ahead water. So like that, that's how it prefers the conditioned soul. And we try to rectify one mistake by making another mistake. So Prahlad Maharaj explains that to try to solve one problem in this material world, you create 10 more problems, he says. So everyone knows that, especially in the European countries, UK, England, there were horse carriages. People used to travel by horse carriages. And there used to be horse-driven chariots, you can say like that, where there were, people used to sit and commute from one place to another place. Now these horses used to pass stool, and in the entire road, the horse stool smell is to be there. Now, in order to rectify this problem, slowly the intelligent scientific people there thought, oh, this is very bad. Horse stool smell. So how to eliminate this problem? And slowly, they came up with a locomotive motor, a car engine design with 4 wheels. And that's how the car was invented, in fact. And people thought now we have advanced because we have cars which are also driven by engines, and the engine was also given, power according to the same term used, horsepower it is. So then the cars have to be run on fuel, and petroleum was the fuel. So they thought that they have eliminated, the horse tool dust or the smell, but now there was a pollution, the pollution which was coming from the cars. And they thought they have solved one problem, but they created n number of problems by coming up with this, motorized engine vehicles which would run at very high speeds. And we thought we have made a lot of advancement. So today there is pollution because of cars, where we have lung problems. There is a global problem of global warming. So many problems have, creeped up with this, solution of trying to solve the horse tool problem. And now, forget the fuel, petroleum. Now they are CNGs. That is, what is it called? Gas. And now not only the lungs get affected, even the brain gets affected because of inhaling those subtle fumes. So like that, our problems have multiplied. When we try to solve one problem in this material world, we create 100 more problems, and the solution becomes still more difficult. So that's how everyone is trying to be happy. The struggle for material existence becomes deeper and deeper, harder and harder and difficult. And if you give a simple solution to stay in a simple, farm setup, live simple living, high thinking, grow your own food and chant Hare Krishna and be happy, and go back to the spiritual world, they don't accept it. So that's how Prabhupada is explaining about it. Now, paragraphs 3 to 4 explain how Krishna consciousness is the remedy for the gross ignorance. So let us take paragraph 3 and 4. This Krishna conscious movement is spread all over the world just to remedy this gross ignorance. That gross ignorance is here, that you are trying to become happy in this material world, but happiness doesn't exist. People are generally misled by blind leaders. The leaders of human society, politicians, philosophers, scientists are blind. Why? Because they are not Krishna conscious. Simple answer, Prabhupada saying. Anyone who is not Krishna conscious, he is blind. He is either blind because of, there can be different kinds of blindness. One is the physical blindness where you cannot see. But according to Shastra, there are different kinds of blindness. Somebody can be blind because of kama, kamanda. Anda means blind because of kama. Then lobanda, because of loba. As Arjuna is telling in the Gita, lobo pahata chetasa. These Kauravas, their chetana is covered by loba because of greed. They don't know what are the consequences of this war. So like that, people are blind. Anyone who doesn't have Shastra Chakshu, leading a life based on Shastra, he is considered actually as a blind person. According to Bhagavad Gita, they are bereft of factual knowledge due to their atheistic way of life. They are actually sinful rascals and the lowest among men. So Prabhupada is quoting this, Namam Vishkutano Muda. Muda means fools. Naradama, lowest among them. Maya Aparitagyan, their knowledge is stolen by Maya. Whatever knowledge, so-called knowledge they have, that knowledge is all belonging to the external energy. And that's why Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his bhajan, he says, Jada Vidya Mayara Vaibhav, Jivara Banaya Gada. He says, it makes a jiva into a donkey. So the Jada Vidya is like that. And Asuram Bhavam Ashrita, they are taking the atheistic nature of demons. They do not surrender. So these are leaders who are leading. That's why there is so much of gross ignorance, because the leaders are blind. Such people never surrender to Krishna and oppose the endeavor of those who wish to take Krishna's shelter. Maya shelter, Durashaya, and the solution is we have to take shelter of Krishna. Shelter we have to take. It is our choice whether we want to be in shelter of Maya or we want to be in shelter of Krishna. Choice is with the Jiva. If you are in the shelter of Maya, then you will be repeatedly put in the cycle of birth and death, and you will be having this three-pit tapa. If you are in shelter of Krishna, you will ultimately attain Satchidananda, eternity, bliss, and knowledge. When such atheists become leaders of society, the entire atmosphere is surcharged with nescience. So we are engulfed. The whole world gets engulfed with, Avidya. That's why Prabhupada, when he first went to America and landed in America, Boston airport, and first time had the darshan of America, Boston city, Prabhupada composed that song, Mark and Bhagavad Dharma. And he said, Rajas Hare Sabaye Achand, Vasudeva Katha Ruchi Nahi Se Prasann. He had come to preach the Bhagavatam message, and now composing prayer, Krishna, please give me the mercy and strength to convince him about your message. All their hearts are covered by Rajas and Tama. Rajas Tamo Bhave Acham. They are covered with the modes of passion and ignorance. And they are completely absorbed in the materialistic way of life. Vasudeva Kataruchi Nai Se Prasann. So they don't have taste for Vasudeva Kataruchi. So when the leaders promote more of materialistic way of life, artha, and there is no dharma performed, then people are caught in artha and kama, and neither they perform dharma nor they can get liberation. So that's how the whole atmosphere is surcharged with the science. In such a condition, people do not become very enthusiastic to receive this Krishna consciousness movement. Just as a diseased person suffering from jaundice does not relish the taste of sugar candy. However, one must know that for jaundice, sugar candy is the only specific medicine. Similarly, in the present confused state of humanity, Krishna consciousness, that is the chanting, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, is the only remedy for setting the world right. So this is the only remedy for all the problems today in the world. There is only one Ramban Upai for all problems, the chanting of the holy names. Although Krishna consciousness may not be palatable for a diseased person, Srila Rupa Goswami nonetheless advises that if one wants to be cured of the material disease, he must take to it with great care and attention. So again, Prabhupada is emphasizing here. So Adarat means with respect. When we are chanting the holy name, Krishna is present in the holy name. So Krishna is there. And that's why my attention should be fully to Krishna and nothing else will commit Nama Aparadh. We discussed that, and if you remember, in the last classes. So I don't know whether I told one true incident from the life of Narottam Das Thakur. Thakur and his spiritual master Loknath Goswami were sitting and chanting in Radha Govinda Kund in Vrindavan, in Govardhan. So both were sitting and chanting, and somehow a local Brajbasi came and asked for water. And Narottam Das Thakur left his chanting and he went to attend to the Brajbasi to give water. When he came back, Loknath Goswami said, "You have no right to stay in Vrindavan. Please leave Vrindavan." He was shocked. What happened? He said, "How can you leave the service of Radha and Krishna and attend to some other service?" So although that Brajbasi is also a devotee and service to the devotee is important, but here the point is priority, that when we are serving directly Radha and Krishna, how can you attend to any other service? Both are spiritual service, but still there is priority. So chanting the holy names means directly serving Radha and Krishna. This has to be done with great care and attention so that we avoid namaprad. And only when we start avoiding namaprad, then we can slowly get taste for chanting. So the reason why we don't have taste for chanting is the root of all offenses is that we do inattentive chanting, we do mechanical chanting. And slowly, if you continue doing this mechanical chanting over a period of time, then you'll be more attracted to, what is the point? There is no, I don't feel, my heart is not relishing this chanting, and I don't want to simply continue mechanical. So slowly you will reduce your rounds then. So that is why one should make sure that one doesn't fall trap to this mechanical chanting. We need to put our heart in chanting. And here Prabhupada is emphasizing these words, great care and attention. One begins his treatment by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, because by chanting this holy name of the Lord, a person in the material condition will be relieved from all misconceptions. Chaito Darpana Marjanam. Avidya, a misconception about one's spiritual identity, provides the foundation for ahankar or false ego within the heart. The real disease is in the heart. If the mind is cleansed, however, if the consciousness is cleansed, a person cannot be harmed by the material disease. To cleanse the mind and heart from all misconceptions, one should take to this chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. This is both easy and beneficial. By chanting the holy name of the Lord, one is immediately freed from the blazing fire of material existence. Here Prabhupada is mentioning Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam. So here Prabhupada has mentioned that chanting will clear all the misconceptions. Chaito Darpana Marjanam. Chaita refers to the chitta, the heart, the chitta. And the chitta now is covered with unlimited dirt, unlimited impressions are there. I'm a king, I'm a so-and-so, I'm a male, I am American, I'm African, I'm an engineer, I'm a doctor. So all the I'm parts of Krishna. So Avidya is that misconception about our spiritual identity. So here I would like to put the concept of what, yeah. Here in the what, so Avidya is a misconception of one's spiritual identity, and this is the false ego within the heart. And what is the solution? Chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, which will cleanse the mind and heart of all misconceptions. Now, the soul is purely spiritual in the spiritual world, and the soul has a spiritual body, a spiritual mind, and spiritual senses. Now, when the soul has a desire to enjoy like Krishna, at that time, the soul in the seed form comes in this material world, in the seed form. In the Chaitanya, this verse is there. What? Bhoga vancha kare, nikata maya jhapatiya dhare. Krishna bahirbhuk bhoga kare. Krishna bahirbhuk means he turns his face away from Krishna and bhoga vancha kare. And he has a desire to become the bhokta, enjoy. Why Krishna should only enjoy? Why not enjoy? When the desire comes, nikata maya tara jhapatiya dhare. Maya is very near to him, immediately after him. So this soul, which is there in a spiritual body, in a spiritual mind, with spiritual senses, comes down in this material world in the seed form, in the form of seed. And that is consciousness. This soul gets enveloped by avidya, by which it is covered now. Its pure consciousness is covered as I am the servant of Krishna, and it gets covered by Avidya, where he thinks I am enjoyer. He's given a different identity, a different conception. Now, in the Gaudiya Vaishnava literatures, it is mentioned that this Maya covers the soul with Avidya, and it puts, there are two types of Shaktis of Maya by which the soul's original constitution is covered. One is called as the Avarnatmika Shakti, or the covering potency. And the second is called as the Prakshepatmika Shakti, or the bewildering potency. So now let us understand this, the two examples. One is the man watching a movie in a theater. Now, any boy or any girl, why they go to the theater to watch a movie? The root reason is that this boy wants to become the hero. How the hero is enjoying with the hero, he wants to identify himself with the hero, and that is why he goes to the movie theater. Or the girl goes to the movie theater because she identifies herself with the heroine and how the heroine is enjoying with the hero. So I also want to take up that role of heroine. So that's why we go to movies to watch our favorite hero or heroine, movies. Somebody likes certain hero, and that's why they go to watch it. So there is an identification with that hero. Similarly, the soul who wants to imitate the Purusha. Purusha is Krishna. Krishna is the enjoyer. That time he comes to this material world, and that is the man who goes to the movie theater to enjoy the movie. Now, when you go to the movie theater, what is the first thing which happens is when you sit on your seat, the lights are turned off, everything is dark. So similarly, when the soul has the desire to enjoy this world, he is covered by the envelope of Avidya. That's why this is mentioned as dark. His actual constitution identification is covered, and he is given a different identification, Avidya, because of Avidya. And there are these 5 things which I will not go into that now. There is Avidya, Asmita, Raga, and Abhinivesh. Avidya is the false identification. A false identification is given to him. Similarly, the man who goes and sits inside, he has identified himself with a particular hero, and that's why he's come to watch that movie. How this hero is enjoying the hero. So that's why he identifies, and that's why he comes there. So, Asmita means Asmi, I am. Oh, I am that hero. I am Purusha. Or in the Bhagavad Gita, it is mentioned Purusha Prakriti Stohi Bhaumte Prakritin Janmunan Karana Guna Sangasya Sad Asadyoni Janmasu Sad Asadyoni Janmasu. So, similarly, this person identifies himself with the hero, and first he is covered by this covering potency, that is the lights turning off. The second thing what happens in the movie theater is that the projector reel starts moving, and the light falls on the screen. So firstly, the person who is sitting in the movie theater, it's dark, he cannot see himself, he cannot see his neighbor, and then his consciousness now is towards the screen, because that's where the light is there, and he starts watching the movie there. And while watching the movie, he's absorbed. Oh, this is my favorite hero. Oh, how wonderfully the hero is enjoying. And he identifies himself with the hero. And suppose in the movie, the hero is fighting, and suddenly the villain gives one punch and the hero dies. Now, actually, if you see, never the hero dies in any movies. If the hero dies on the screen, that has nothing to do with the reality. In reality, that poor actor who has played that role in the movie, he must be sitting in his home enjoying his meal. But because you identify so much with that illusionary reality, what is displayed in the screen, that, oh, the hero is dead, and you get a shock. Maybe something, you feel hurt inside. Nothing has happened actually. But because you identify yourself with the hero, that is why you get affected. So the bewildering potency is what? The throwing potency or the prakshepatmika potency, or what is called as the throwing potency, where the soul's pure consciousness is first covered and then it is pulled towards the Maya, the Bhairanga Shakti. Our consciousness is pulled towards, the illusionary representation. Oh, this is the world here. Here you can enjoy, like that. Just like the screen, light is thrown on the projector screen, and our consciousness is pulled towards the projector screen, and we forget ourselves, and we forget who is our neighbor, and we get affected by whatever is happening on the screen. So there is avidya, and there is asmita. Asmita means the false identification. I am so and so. Then there is rag. Raga means attraction. I have attraction to that hero. And dvesh is what? I have dvesh or enviousness towards the villain because he is stopping the heroine. That's why the hero is fighting with the villain. So one sannyasi was mentioning in his lecture, in all movies, the sum and substance is there is hero, there is heroine, and there is villain. That's it. And there is fight between the hero and the villain, and there is some love story between the hero and heroine. That's it. All stories are the same, with different recipes. That's it. So this is how we can understand by these two Shaktis, Avarnatmika Shakti and Prakshekavatmika Shakti. With this example of the man watching a movie in the theater, the soul is covered by this Avidya Shakti. This Avidya Shakti has these two divisions. Another example I give is of the child who has a desire to watch a horror movie. So he owns the horror, TV channel, and he starts watching the horror movie. And while watching the horror movie, because he has the desire to watch the horror movie, he identifies himself with what is happening on the TV screen, and he himself becomes fearful. Although, the child has a very loving relationship with the mother, and he can be in the embrace and the love and care of mother and can have loving reciprocations. But because he has the desire to watch the horror movie, his consciousness is caught up in the TV screen, and now he is going through all these fearful situations. He's become fearful. Similarly, when we have a desire to enjoy separately from Krishna, we become covered. Our relationship with Krishna is covered by the avidya potency. And now we are in this Bhairanga Shakti. Bhayam Dvitiya Abhinivesh, as also in the Bhagavatam it is mentioned. Bhayam Dvitiya Abhinivesh. Our consciousness becomes caught in this Bhairanga Shakti of the Lord. So the child who is watching the horror movie, he becomes fearful because his consciousness is caught in the Bhairanga Shakti of the Lord, because he has a desire to enjoy the horror movie. And he forgets his relationship with the mother because of false ego. The false ego is like the barrier covering. It's like it covers our relationship with the Lord. And we forget that relationship, and our consciousness is pulled in the Bhairanga Shakti. Another expansion of the acronym ego means EGO. That is what is ego. And it means edge God out. We have edged God out. That is ego. And that's why we have a false ego here of being a false identification of Purusha. And that's why we are what? Sad asad yoni janmasu. So this is the avidya, which is the disease of the heart. Any questions you have regarding this concept of avidya which we discussed? Yes, no? Okay, there are two questions. Ratna Mataji, yes?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I missed the fifth one, what you were telling. Avidya, Asmita, Raga, Dvesha and?
Abhinivesh.
Abhinivesh.
Abhinivesh. Abhinivesh means absorption. There is two kinds of absorption, Raga Abhinivesh, Dvesh Abhinivesh. when we have attraction to any material thing and our absorption is in that. So that is called as raga binivesh. And when there is some obstruction, somebody is obstructing our object of attraction, then we have enviousness towards him, then there is dvesha binivesh. And that's how between raga and dvesha, we are caught up in this whole matrix of Maya. Raga binivesh, dvesha binivesh, raga binivesh, dvesha binivesh. So like that. Okay, so Madan Mohan Prabhuji has a question. Yes, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, you have nicely graphically shown the covering of Avidya on the soul.
Yes.
The picture shows that the Avidya level is northwards is more than the sideways. Is there any special reason?
No. This is just a picture. You need not take it literally. It's just a picture. The soul is just sleeping in the lap of Maya. That's what we have to understand. It's nothing to do.
With the depth of
No, nothing.
Avidya? Okay, thank you.
Nitya Sevini Mataji has a question. Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. You said there are two types of Shaktis. One is covering potency, that is Avarnatmaka Shakti, right? What about the second one, Prabhu? Bewildering potency is also called?
Prakshepatmika Shakti. Avarnatmika Shakti, Avarn means it covers. It is the covering potency, where it covers the pure consciousness of the soul, the pure identification of the soul is covered. That is called as the Avarnatmika Shakti. That is the Avidya, which covers. That is Niscience for Prabhupada. And not only it covers, then the throwing potency is Prakshepatmika, means the pulling potency. The consciousness is pulled towards Maya, material consciousness. It is pulled towards the Bhairanga Shakti of the Lord. It doesn't, go back within ourselves to realize the spiritual consciousness. So that is why practicing spiritual life is not so easy, because now we are in the Bhairanga Shakti. We have to pull our consciousness from material consciousness to Krishna consciousness. So that's why it's not so easy. Just like you are on a waterfalls, on the top, you can just take a dive and smoothly you can come down because of the force of the water. But if you are below, where the waterfalls is there, below you go there, and from there, if you have to climb up against the force of the waterfalls, it's not so easy because of the force of the waterfalls. So that's why Krishna consciousness is, first of all, the Bhairanga Shakti. The material consciousness will pull us, Maya will pull us. If we start thinking about Krishna, Maya will present so many reasons for us not to think about Krishna. So it will not take, allow us to come back to the original consciousness, pure Krishna consciousness. So that pulling potency or the throwing potency is called as the Prakshepatmika Shakti. Okay. Okay, any other questions? Okay, so now we have discussed this important concept. So let us go to the next paragraph. We have mentioned this. Now, Prabhupada in the next paragraph mentions about the 3 stages of chanting. There are 3 stages of chanting, Prabhupada says. One is the offensive stage, the stage of lessening offenses, and pure stage. When a neophyte takes to the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, he generally commits many offenses. There are 10 basic offenses, and if a devotee avoids these, he can glimpse the next stage, which is situated between offensive and pure chanting. When one attains the pure stage, he is immediately liberated. This is called Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam. As soon as one is liberated from the blazing fire of material existence, he can relish the taste of transcendental life. Now, again, I have a question to you. When exactly does Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam among the 9 stages of Bhakti, beginning from Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Anarth Nivritti, Nishta, Ruchi, Bhava, Prema, when does this Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam happen? As Prabhupada is indicating here in this paragraph. When does it happen? At what stages among the 9 stages? Anyone knows can raise their hands. What stage? There is 1, 2, 3. Okay, Mohan Rup Sham Prabhuji.
With Anartha Nivritti, Prabhu?
With Anarth Nivritti, yes, that is where it begins. But fully, when does it manifest? Fully, when does it manifest? Would like to say something? Okay. Yeah, many have typed in the chat box. The IYF devotees would like to answer. What stage? Bhava. Yeah, at the stage of Bhava. At the stage of Bhava, full Bhava Mahadhavagni Nirvapanam happens. In fact, the Sikshashtam verse, Chaito Darpana Marjanam Bhava Mahadhavagni Nirvapanam Shaya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam Vidya Vadu Jivanam Ananda Ambudi Varanam Pratipadam Purnamrita Swadanam Aswadanam Sarvatma Sapanam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. The 7 effects of chanting, these are all at the perfected stage, in fact. Chaito Darpana Marcham means the chit is completely pure. Bhava Mahadavagni means we have become liberated from the material existence. That is, when we attain the state of Bhava. And Shaya Kairava Chandrika Vitarna means, our heart can, just like on the full moon, the white lily, the lotus fully blossoms, the heart fully blossoms with Krishna Prem. And transcendental knowledge is realized, Vidya Vadu Jivanam. Ananda Ambudi Vardhanam. When we take up chanting at the stage of Bhava, the Ananda is like an ocean. Vardhanam, it is expanding. Pratipadam Purnamrita Aswadanam. Every mantra you feel like it is full of nectar. And Sarvatma Sapanam. Just like you might have gone in the city, you might have worked very hard, you might be sweating, and suddenly you go and take a fresh bath, you feel fresh. Similarly, when you chant, you feel like as though you have bathed the soul in nectar. That is Sarvatma Sapanam. So all these 7 effects are in the perfected stage. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is explaining these 7 perfections, what you can attain by chanting, Param Vijayate, so that we take up to chanting. So definitely it is at the stage of Bhava. So Prabhupada has explained about these 3 stages. Now the Namaprad stage is there. Then there is the Namabhas stage and the Shuddha Nam stage. These are the 3 stages which we go through our chanting. The offensive stage is called as the Namaprad stage. The stage of lessening offense is called as the Namabhas stage. Prabhupada is saying between offensive chanting and pure chanting. And the pure stage is called as the Shuddha Nam stage. We are liberated from the blazing fire of material existence. Then we can relish the taste of transcendental life. So this happens at the stage of Bhava. Now, from Namaprad to Namabhas is a long period for us to traverse. Usually it takes many, many years. And it all depends on our sincere efforts and how attentively we chant and how attentively we avoid committing the Dashanama Prad. So the more we avoid, committing these offenses, especially inattentive chanting, we will be able to cross this stage of Namaprad and come to the stage of Namabhas. Namabhas, as the term mentions, it is Abhas of the Nam. Abhas means a dim reflection of the transcendental pure name of Krishna. We get a dim reflection, just like the sun. when it is covered by clouds, we cannot fully experience the sunshine because there is the abhas, there is a dim reflection of the sun which we are experiencing because the sun is covered by the clouds. Similarly, in the namabha stage, the holy name is like sun, pure, but it is still covered. And that's why we are not able to fully experience the holy name's potency. But we get a dim reflection. That is namabha stage. And namabha stage is so glorious that, in fact, one becomes liberated at the stage of namabhas. In the namapara stage, one will get a lot of material benefits in this life, or he might get swarga also. But only by chanting namabhas one can attain liberation. But only by taking to Shuddha Nam, pure name, one can get love of Godhead, not by namabhas. So ultimately, by namabhash, the heart becomes pure, all the pious sinful reactions are destroyed, and from namabha stage, you can go to Shuddha Nam, the stage of Shuddha Nam. And by taking to Shuddha Nam, we attain pure love of Godhead and we can attain relish for chanting the holy names. So this is a very, very elaborate subject. Bhaktivinoda Thakur has written an entire book on this called as the Sri Hari Namamrit, where he has explained all this in 15 chapters. So especially devotees should regularly study what are the 10 offenses and how one should avoid these 10 offenses. And slowly try to attentively chant the holy names and come to this namabha stage. And then from there, come to the Shuddha Nam stage. So this is briefly about these 3 levels. Now Prabhupada, in this last 3 paragraphs, shows a very important theme, that is chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, how the chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra takes one from the Shraddha to Prema and destroys Avidya. That is from paragraph 7 to 10. So this we will take up now. The conclusion is that in order to get freed from the material disease, one should take up to chanting Hare Krishna. Prabhupada says why he established ISKCON. The Krishna conscious movement is especially meant for creating an atmosphere in which people can take up to chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. So our temples, our programs, whatever we do, we should create such an atmosphere that people are inclined to take up to chanting. We should facilitate such an environment where people are inspired to take up to chanting. This is the purpose why Srila Prabhupada established ISKCON. One must begin with faith, and when this faith is increased by chanting, a person becomes a member of the society. We are sending Sankirtan parties all over the world, and they are experiencing that even in the remotest part of the world, where there is no knowledge of Krishna, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra attracts thousands of men to our camp. In some areas, people begin to imitate the devotees by shaving their heads and chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra only a few days after hearing the mantra. This may be imitative, but imitation of a good thing is desired. Some imitators gradually become interested in being initiated by the spiritual master and offer themselves for initiation. So here Prabhupada is explaining these different stages, which I have again put it here in the graph. So that first begins the stage of Shraddha, where one becomes interested in the Krishna conscious movement and he becomes a member. He takes up to Sadhu Sangha. And then there is initiation. Engages oneself in the service of the Lord by following the regulative principles. Prabhupada calls this as Bhajan Kriya, which he has mentioned in the next paragraph. If one is sincere, he is initiated, and this stage is called Bhajan Kriya. One then actually engages in the service of the Lord by regularly chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra 16 rounds daily and refraining from illicit sex, intoxicants, meat eating and gambling. By Bhajan Kriya, one attains freedom from the contamination of materialistic life. He no longer goes to a restaurant or hotel to taste so-called palatable dishes made of meat and onions, nor does he care to smoke or drink tea or coffee. He does not only refrain from illicit sex, but avoids sex life entirely. Nor he is interested in wasting his time in speculating on gambling. In this way, it is understood one is becoming cleansed of unwanted things. Anartha nivritti. Anartha. Artha means that which is of value. Anartha means that which is of no value. So, smoking, drinking, gambling, and materialistic way of life, all these are anarthas. And slowly, as he gives up these anarthas, anartha nivritti is happening for him. So from bhajan kriya, he goes to the stage of anartha nivritti, becomes cleansed of unwanted things, freedom from the contamination of materialistic life. That is anartha nivritti stage. Then, the word anartha refers to unwanted things. Anarthas are vanquished when one becomes attached to Krishna conscious movement. When a person is relieved from unwanted things, he becomes fixed in executing his Krishna conscious activities. So here Prabhupada is explaining about Nishtha, where one is fixed in executing Krishna conscious activities. Then Prabhupada goes on to explain, indeed, he becomes attached to such activities and experiences ecstasy in executing devotional service. This is called bhava, the preliminary awakening of dormant love of Godhead. So here Prabhupada is not mentioned about ruchi, but he's speaking about attachment, asakti, and then bhava. Thus, the conditioned soul becomes freed from material existence and loses interest in the bodily concept of life, including material opulence, material knowledge, and material attraction of all variety. So at the stage of bhava, one spiritual identity is revealed and he completely is able to give up his bodily concept of life, and nothing can attract him of this material world, in fact. At such a time, one can understand who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead is and what his Maya is. So one realizes at the stage of bhava, he has Sakshat Darshan of Krishna. In fact, Rupa Goswami in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu mentions that bhava, when he defines bhava, he says Krishna Sakshat Yoga, Darshan Yoga. He becomes qualified to have darshan of Krishna. And not only that, what is his rasa with Krishna and what relationship he is with Krishna, that is also revealed. Whether it is Bhakti Ras, Sakya Ras, Vatsalya Ras. And bhava is like his attraction, rati. Bhava is also called as rati. Is his attraction is for Krishna. Sometimes bhava can be the stage where one is 99% attracted to Krishna. There's only 1%. Small traces because of aparadh can remain. Very fine traces are there. In prema, that also is eliminated. One who attains the stage of bhava very soon will attain the stage of prema, very quickly. So bhava is like 99 or 99.9% attraction towards Krishna, and there is no attraction towards Maya. That's why Prabhupada says one can know who is Krishna and what is Maya. Although Maya may be present, it cannot disturb a devotee once he attains the bhava stage. So now we should understand by this statement that how much Maya can disturb us. So as long as one doesn't attain the stage of bhava, Maya is there to allure us and to distract us. This is because a devotee can see the real position of Maya. Maya means forgetfulness of Krishna, and forgetfulness of Krishna and Krishna consciousness stand side by side like light and shadow. If one remains in shadow, he cannot enjoy the facilities offered by light, and if one remains in light, he cannot be disturbed by the darkness of shadow. By taking to Krishna consciousness, one gradually becomes liberated and remains in light. Indeed, he does not even touch the darkness, as confirmed in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Krishna Surya Sama, Maya Haya Andakar, Yahan Krishna Tahan Nahi Mayar Adhikar. So Prabhupada here in the last paragraph elaborates about Maya, or the stage of bhava where one is unaffected by Maya, because at the stage of bhava, one's attraction to Krishna is almost like 100%. As I was mentioning, maybe 99% or 96%, something like that. Twayi me ananya vishaya, mati madhupate sakrit, ratim udvata adya, gange vegum udanvati. Kunti Maharani, in her praise to Lord Krishna, she's telling, Twayi me Ananya Vishaya, she said, be only towards you, Ananya Vishaya. Rati Udvata Adya. Rati means attraction. And let it flow like how Gange Vegum Udanvati. Just like the Ganga begins from Gomukh and flows towards the ocean. Ganga Sagar, the Ganges joins the ocean. And no matter, but still the Ganga flow breaks through all these obstacles. There might be rocks, there might be trees in between, but the Ganges, yeah, here is this verse 1:842. Twai me ananya vishaya. Let my unalloyed attention be towards you. Madhupate Sakrit, continuously. And Ratim is attraction or bhava. Udvata may overflow directly, just like the Ganga flows towards the sea. The attraction towards Krishna, the consciousness flows only towards Krishna and never towards any material thought. And Krishna is like sun and Maya is like darkness. When you are exposed to the sun, there is no question of darkness. So that's why Prabhupada is quoting this. So these are the 9 stages which Prabhupada is comparing here. Asakti is attached to executing Krishna conscious activities. At the stage of bhava, he is experiencing ecstasy. It is the preliminary awakening of love of Godhead. He becomes free from material existence, free from the bodily concept of life. He understands Krishna and what is Maya. Maya also cannot disturb him. Of course, Prabhupada has briefly discussed these 9 stages of Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajan Kriya, Anarth Nivritti, Nishtha, Ruchi, Asakti, Bhava and Prema. In other works, especially like Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, they deal with these 9 stages quite in detail. And especially Srila Vishwanath Chandra Thakur has devoted an entire book called as Madhuri Kadamani. He has discussed quite in depth and quite detail these 9 stages. And he has done a perfect analysis of how is the internal journey of the sadhaka through these various stages, what are the symptoms of each of these stages, and how one can get a glimpse of the higher stages, and ultimately how one should attain the goal of Krishna Prem. He has quite elaborately explained in his book Madhur Kadamni. So one who would like to go more in detail of these 9 stages should definitely refer to Madhur Kadamni. Prabhupada has given some general hints about these 9 stages by chanting Hare Krishna, how we can progress to higher and higher levels and ultimately attain Krishna Prem. So Avidya gets ultimately destroyed at the stage of Bhava. That is also explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam also, in the verses which is called as the Bhagavad Dharma series, which begins from 1 to 16, 1 to 15 to 1 to 22. In fact, it begins from 1 to 6, you can say. Save Pumsam Paro Dharma. So there also it is mentioned that Avidya gets destroyed at the stage of Bhava. Rupa Goswami also in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu proves that Avidya gets destroyed at the stage of Bhava. But the destruction gradually begins with Sadhu Sangha, Bhajan Kriya, Anarth Nivritti, Nishtha. Practically at the stage of Nishtha, one is very, very steady, and slowly then he can quickly come to these higher stages of Ruchi and Asakti. So these are about the 9 stages which Prabhupada has briefly discussed in his commentary. So any questions, any clarifications you have about text 7? Avidya Vinash or Krishna Name Anushilan Pranali. How the Avidya is destroyed and what is the Pranali methodology of taking the Krishna's holy name. So 2 points are very important. Adarat Anudinam. With great respect that Krishna is non-different from his holy name, we should chant with full consciousness, attentively, and we should do this Anudinam at a regulative practice. And slowly, gradually, the taste will awaken if we follow Rupa Goswami's advice. Okay, then. So we will stop here. If you have any questions, clarifications, you can raise your hands. Okay, fine then. There is one question. Yes, Mataji?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I'm a little confused between Nishta and Asakti, Prabhu. Could you please clarify that?
It's quite an elaborate discussion. At the stage of Nishta, the anarthas are almost destroyed. Nashta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki, as it is mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam, famous verse. So almost the abhadras, the anarthas which are because of papa and punya, which act as an obstacle in the path of bhakti, they are almost destroyed. Prabhupada says 75% in one of his lectures. And now one is very steady in his practice. One understands the philosophy and one is very, very regulated at the stage of Nishta. There are symptoms of how to understand if one is in the stage of Nishta. Vishwanath Chakra Thakur goes quite into detail about it. And again, I'll not go into that. So that is the stage of Nishta. In the stage of Ruchi, one has taste for chanting, taste for devotional activities. I chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra because there's a lot of taste. After chanting 16 rounds, I sit and chant another 16 rounds. Why? Because I have taste. So this is called as Ruchi. I have a lot of taste to eat gulab jamun because my tongue likes gulab jamun. So after tasting 2 gulab jamuns, I want another 5, 6. So similarly, one who has taste for holy name, he chants a lot of rounds. This is the stage of Ruchi. Now, in the stage of Asakti it's not that I like to taste because it will give Krishna pleasure. In the stage of Asakti, you become more attached not to the limbs of devotion, but to the object of devotion, that is Krishna. In the stage of Ruchi, there is attraction to hearing Krishna Katha because I like to hear Krishna Katha, or reading Bhagavatam, or chanting the holy names, any of the limbs of devotion, because I have taste for it. That is Ruchi. But in Asakti, the object from oneself, goes to Krishna. That Krishna feels pleasure if I take the holy name. So let me chant more for Krishna's pleasure. That is the stage of Asakti. And then at the stage of Bhava, one develops, that is the preliminary love of Godhead, where one's spiritual identity is revealed. So there are again a lot of subtleties in it, but we will not go into it right now. Okay, any other questions or clarifications anyone has? Okay, so tomorrow we will begin with text 8, and next week we will be winding nectar of instruction. Okay, so be prepared with the open book assignments and